Hello, everyone. This is Phil from One Model, and today we're going to go through an all too common scenario. We're going to imagine we have a rush request coming in from the leadership team, in this case, finance. They want to understand some cost impacts with our workforce and how it's changing. It's Friday afternoon. I want to try to get this request done as quickly as I can and get that out, shared back with the team. So let's dive in. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to our Explore area. And I'm going to use this to build up a couple of the visualizations that I'm going to use to answer this question. Now, fortunately for me, I have one model and all of my data is already consolidated into a model, and I have some standardized metrics that are going to work really well to fulfill this request. So the first part of it is essentially they want to be thinking about the annualized cost of people we're bringing into the organization and people who are leaving the organization. So sort of netting out the salary impact of our hires and our terminations. The idea is they want to see that over time by month, and they want to see the net impact. So let's start by creating an overall visualization that's going to show that. And then I'm going to get into another part of the details of this request, which is breaking everything out by job category. So first things first, they want to understand this data for the last 12 months. So I'm going to switch from year, and I'm going to look at my time models. And the first thing I'm going to do is let's do the last 12 months complete. So all finished months. Here we go. I'll close that out. And now I need to grab the metrics that I'm going to use for this analysis. So under my movement data, this is where I've tracked my external hires. I've set up, metrics for terminations, people leaving the company. The nice thing I've done is I've also connected all of those to the employee's salary. So all I have to do is look within some cost metrics that I've created here. And I have the annualized salary impact for each of the hires and terms in that time period. Now I'll expand that window a bit so you can see it better. We'll look at annualized salary for external hires. We'll look at annualized salary for terminations, and we'll make that negative to show the difference between the two. And then I also have a metric that just does the math between those. So what's the difference? We'll call that net salary impact hires minus terms. So we'll run that data. And the nice thing is that right now I'm not panicking and creating a bunch of ad hoc spreadsheets that I'm going to try to, shuffle together into something useful. So all those calculations happened for me, looked at each employee's salary, looked at it for the time period that I'm interested in. So who terminated in that month, who was hired in that month. And that's the first part of our request. And so I have that visually. The other thing I want to do is, anytime a report is going up to that level of leadership, I want to take an extra few moments here and just make it look a little bit more compelling, make sure we're leaving a good example in front of them. So the first thing I'll do here is I'm going to change these metrics here to an area spline, which is fun to say and also looks nice here on the page. So now what I've done is I've kind of separated all the metrics out easier. It's a little bit easier to see. My impact of hires is coming in over the top. My outbound impact of terminations is coming in on the bottom, and I see the net as bars in the middle. Now, my other maybe complaint about this before I take it forward is that we're dealing with cost information and changes here. It's going to make more sense if I adjust the colors so that it's not that for some reason blue means up and green means down. I want to reduce the amount of, intellectual labor that goes into understanding this view. So let me close that out. And before I pin this out to a storyboard, let me change the chart palettes. And let's go to this one here. I think this will give me my blues and my greens and my reds all together. And I think that's going to make a little bit more sense. A little bit bright, but you get the idea. Green is growth coming in. Red is termination cost going out. So there we are. Now I'll close that out. And now I have the visual, but I need to put it somewhere so that I can share it out with everyone who's asking for it. So the next thing I'll do is there is a pin button right here. And this is going to give me the option to either save it to my Insight library for later, which I may do next because I might be needing this view again. But what I'll do now is just pin it out to a new storyboard. We'll call this urgent CFO request. And the first tile that we're going to put in here is our hire and termination impact over time. There we go. So now I'm halfway done. I've got that compelling visual that I'm going to put on the top of this storyboard when I share it out with the team. The other thing I need to do, and again, thankful that I'm not going to try to do this in a spreadsheet, is I want to take that net impact and I want to break it out by month, by all of my various job categories. So let's do that next. We'll close this here. I'll switch my visualization from a basic chart into a list view, so a tabular view. We'll run that again. And now I only need to look at my net salary impact, so let's get rid of the other two metrics. Now I've got that net. I have that running out over time. The last piece of the equation here is to go to each and every one of the employees in that data set, find their job category, and group everything up. Which again is going to be easy for me here, because down here in dimensions, I have a job category grouping. I'll just click on that, rerun the query, and now all that number crunching is going to happen for me. So we'll have that breakout done by month, by job category, in a table view here. All right, so I'm going to pin that out as well to an existing storyboard, because we already made the storyboard in the first step. We have a number of storyboards I've been working on here, but we'll add it to urgent CFO request, table view. We'll pin this out. We're almost there. The next thing I'm going to do is just check out that storyboard, adjust the layout, maybe add a bit of formatting to it, and I'll be ready to share and get this off my desk so I can go enjoy the weekend. So let's go up to storyboards. Here's our urgent CFO request that we've been working on. Those are the two tiles that we added to it. There's our trend and there's our table view. First things first, let's adjust this view so you get that trend nicely laid out over time. And we'll make that trend be at the top. The thing I want to work on next, if I look at that table view, we need to do some adjustments to it to make this ready to show. So let's break that out over time as well. And let's go into our design mode and make this table look a little better. So I have a design palette here under tile settings. We'll click on that. And now let's adjust this table. There's not that many rows, so I'm going to turn pagination off, so I just see everything in one page. I'm going to get rid of some of the columns that I don't necessarily need. So we'll change that there. And then the last thing, this is going to the CFO, but everybody still needs a little help when they're looking at tables. So let's call out with some conditional formatting every value that is negative so that it's easier to read. So we'll add a rule for this here. Let's go in and say our comparison is a threshold. We want to look for less than 0, and we'll just choose a background color for that now. Let's look for something a little more red. There we go. And there we are. So let's save that out now. I think we're ready to share. We have our trend. We have all of our breakouts by job category. We've highlighted something to make that table easier to read. All right, so we're almost ready to share. But the last thing we want to do is make sure we provide a little bit of context that goes out with this. Obviously, we all like to feel like the numbers just speak for themselves, but that's because you've been looking at it and building the storyboard. So it's always a good idea to add a text box into your storyboards to help people understand what they're looking at. So I'll do that now. I'm going to click on the pencil here and the plus, and that's going to give me a new text box. So here we are. Let's adjust the size of that. And let's just go in and say, here are those insights you were looking for. A, B, C. We'll add some bullets to that, maybe make the font just a little bit bigger. There we are. And again, obviously you would spend a little bit more time on the insights here, but we'll use that as an example. And I'll make a little space for it up here at the top. So I'll shrink that tab over. Here's our text box, and we'll move that up here. There we are. So now, when the CFO sees this view, they'll have my notes alongside so they can understand a bit more of what's going on. So let's save that. And now we're ready for the last step, which is just to share it out with the people who need to see it. So to do that, I'll hit the three-dot menu here. In this case, I'm going to share the view out within one model. So I'll just choose the sharing tab here. We'll put it in a category. And I'm going to share it with finance leadership here. So they can view. I'll let them add filters and change filters if they want to. As an admin, I'll have the ability to view and edit it if we need to make changes. And we'll share it out. Now, there are two last things I want to show you. Often a request like this comes back again over time. So it's pretty likely that once January is over, they're going to come back and ask us again to update all of the numbers and add in January. The nice thing here is that I used a time model within one model. So as soon as we have the full data from January, that table and that chart will automatically update and show the most recent 12 completed months. So I won't have to do any refresh work when that time comes around again. The other thing that may happen is we may be asked to go and present this to the CFO ourselves. And if that's the case, then I may make use of this option here, which is to export it out to a PowerPoint deck. That would allow me to then go in, present out a PowerPoint without redoing all of the charts as well. So there you have it. That's an example of fielding that last minute urgent request, the one that sometimes keeps you sitting over your laptop until late into the evening, how you might do that in one model, using our metrics, using our data model, and then all of the design and the sharing features that are built into our presentation layer.